Hello, good evening, welcome. Chris Hughes from Upstreamedia's YouTube channel. I'm joined live tonight by Team Stoke Keshel's captain Elliot Dads. Welcome, Elliot. I hope you're well.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I say we're all doing what we can to keep going during this difficult time, and so it's great to have you on the show. Thought we sort of talked a bit about your journey so far, and obviously talk about this season. I thought maybe we just start about how you're getting on, what you've been up to last few weeks. I know there's been a change in lockdown. I wonder if that's affected your training in terms of being able to meet up with people outside and do some sort of basketball.
Yeah, well, to be fair, when the lockdown first started, just took quite a bit of time off just to let my body recover because we had quite a full-on season this year. I had quite a few injuries, some ankle injuries that were just niggling me, so I wanted to recover my body, let it rest up properly. But yeah, over the last couple of weeks, I've started working out. My friend's got some weights in his back garden, so I've been able to do some weights there. Been going to a park, doing some plyometrics and stuff, and also starting last week, CJ has been training me and Mark Jackson and a couple of the Div 1 ladies down at social distancing. It's only a small group, but just trying to get, the feel with basketball again. So it's nice to get some good proper workouts in, because obviously, shooting on your own is fun, it's all right, but getting, drilled and coached is, it makes you work a little bit more harder, I think.
Definitely. I don't think anyone would blame you for having time off, A, because of what's going on, but B, also that end of the season while you guys are still playing there, there's so much fixture pile-up being involved in the National Cup, the League, and the BBL Trophy. What was that like in terms of different seasons where maybe you've had a less busy schedule? Did it make much of an impact for you guys, do you feel?
To be fair, in previous seasons, I think towards the end of the season, you're always going to have double headers, especially in the NBL. You got such a tight schedule to fit all these games in, and early in the season, games might get cancelled for various reasons. But yeah, towards the end, you're always going to have those double headers. So I was kind of used to double headers, but the magnitude of the games this year, was a lot higher. So we had, I think, the cup final, then a couple of double headers, and then we had the BBL Cup final as well. So yeah, it was just constant. But I enjoyed it. You're getting opportunities to play, in great environments for high stakes week in, week out. And we had to win. But obviously we didn't know the season was going to get cut short. But towards the end of the season, when COVID started appearing, we knew we had to try and clinch the league as soon as possible. So every game had that much more, pressure, just getting closer to clinching that league. Every game had a bit more weight to it, and everyone was trying to come for our back. We were getting everyone's best shots. So yeah, that was good.
And definitely, while we're on the topic of schedules, from people I've heard last few weeks, we're talking about next season, and I missed the webinar. I'm not sure if you've been seeing the Barcelona webinars, but it does seem there's a lot of thought that maybe the season might not start on time, and maybe like a look at November, January window. I'm not sure what it may be disseminated to yourself, or I think it's quite difficult, so it's trying to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, you just got to play it by ear. Do you know what I mean? We might find a second wave, and just people's health and safety is much more important. Obviously, we want to get back on the basketball court, but the safety of people watching and playing is much more important. So we've got to make sure we're safe and in the right environment before we do start playing. But in my head, the longer that if we have to start in January, we have to start in January. It might mean that the season will obviously finish maybe a little bit later, maybe July or June or something. But yeah, it just gives more time to try and get ready for the season. I guess just try and make the most of the time we've got off, and try and really change my body and stuff.
Definitely think that's a really good perspective to have. Just sort of take it by here. I think if you start thinking, putting pressure on, the season will start this date, it's not going to help. We just start waiting and seeing. everyone's working towards that.
Yeah,
I
you
thought we
just got to
could
be
sort
ready
of
for
start with your
whatever.
journey. I know you've been with Kestrels for a long time, 7 years or so, and we'll get into that in a bit of detail. But I'm really interested to see what your journey before getting to D1, what was sort of the people who inspired you to pick up basketball, maybe some memories from that time before the most recent years.
Yeah, so well, I've been at Kestrel's, being almost 13 years now. I joined the club when I was 11, as a junior. So, and I was with them all the way up until under 18. So, yeah, I've had a lot of experiences with Kestrel's. Some highs, I think, was when, under 15s, we pretty much came from nowhere, our team. We made it to Final Fours, and, everyone was talking about the final already, sort of writing us off because no, we hadn't been known. No one really knew who we were, and we came to that. We were so focused. Matt was the coach back then, and he's as intricate and as detailed as he is now. He was the same back then, so it was a huge advantage having that back in the day. So we came into that Final Four weekend. We beat the favourites, Manchester Magic, in the semi-final by 1 point. And then in the final, everything just clicked. We played the team that won our league, and everything just clicked. We warmed up and we were looking terrible in the warm up, but once the game started, I think we ended up winning by 35 in the final. And yeah, it was the first national trophy that the club had ever won. So it was a really proud moment for the club. It was, we had so many supporters there. It was just, such a proud moment. I've had many coaches over the years. Bev Guyman, she's the one that really started coaching me. She influenced the work ethic, the tenacity, and just if you put the work in every day, and if you want to be good at something, you'll get there. So yeah, I've got a lot of. She's inspired me to do so many things and to keep playing basketball. The whole Guyman family. Obviously, Matt's coached me since I was 15, so 10 years now. But his dad's also coached me, Jimmy Guyman, who is one of the most knowledgeable basketball players that you can get or you'll find. So I learned so much off that whole family.
Awesome, it's really good to hear. And, I think you really body the Kestrels family. Say you've been in that organisation for a while, and obviously the philosophy player, sort of past first playing and open up the opportunities. People who've watched the show in the past, where I've had guests on, will know when I started, we did a segment called "How Well Do You Know Your Club?" So I made some changes to it,
Yeah,
and we're going to start with the 16-17 season when the Kestrels first made D1, and I'll do one question per stat for each season. And we'll sort of talk about each season. There's a lot to break down, and then we'll
yeah,
go into more depth with this season. So I thought I'd start with the 16-17 season. Through the
yeah.
years, Chester have some really good 3-point shooters, and I was wondering whether you knew in that 16-17 season, out of these three guys, who shot the most threes in total? Was it Martys Mathis, Chris Scarlett, or Kalen Raftopolis?
Well, I only played about. So this is the year I went to Australia until February. So I only played. I came back, so I only played about 8 games. Um, but I'd go Kalen.
It was close.
That'd be my
I was
guess.
surprised it was Mathis. He got
It's
37,
probably
where Kalen and
really
Chris both got 29. But you
fair
say, so
enough.
you went
There
to
you go.
Australia actually, so I noticed you didn't play many games. So what happened there?
Yeah, just an opportunity came up. The summer I was working out, and just an opportunity came up to go to Australia, and I just thought, you know what, I'm young, try it out, see what happens, and it was a great experience. Did a bit of traveling, so yeah, it's just good to see the other side of the world. Then I came back in February, and Matt hit me up, asked me if I wanted to finish the season with us, and yeah, just carried on and played, I think, 7 games, and then the playoffs.
Yeah, I say it's great to be travelling. I'm sure with the lockdown, there is more and more people out traveling. To say it's great to see the world and think if we could get out there, feel the confidence when everything's over, that would be really cool. I think there's a lot to take from the world. I know you only played 7 games that season, but were there any memories from that time? Because obviously it was the team's first season in the league. Obviously, new experience for you when you were playing.
Yeah, I think it was Reading actually. It was the playoff game, so I think we were seeded 5th in the playoffs or 6th, and we had to go away to Reading in the first round of the playoffs, and I think they lost to both on both occasions to Reading, and yeah, so I just sort of got back into the rhythm of playing, or game shape, sorry, and yeah, we all clicked on that day. I remember we had George, Marquise, Jalen was huge that game. Chris hit some massive threes, and I just remember throwing up a lob in the 4th quarter to Marquise right at the end, and it just sealed the deal. He dunked it, took the air out of the gym, and yeah, they came in thinking, we've beat these guys twice already. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, you said it was a really good team. You had, the guys you mentioned. I remember, I think it was one game that season, and Mathis, I think he broke the hoop during, I'm not sure it was warm up or one of the quarters. That was pretty crazy. I imagine you see that quite a bit in training.
Yeah, so I remember watching that game because I watched obviously some games in America when I could. Australia, sorry, on like live stream and stuff. So I was staying up to date with it. Yeah, when I came back, I was just impressed at the talent we had on the team, because obviously the last time I trained with the team was on the Div 2 team, where it was just English talent, and just having 2 Americans and George, Kaylin. We had brought in a lot of high quality players, and it was just the training was just that more intense, and that more competitive. Jack's just said, we finished 6th. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, Coach Jack just coming and corrected us there. Reading referred, so number 6, and Angela, one of Kesha's fans, says, "Hey Elliot, how are you doing?" I'm sure a lot of Kesha's fans,
yeah, I'm good,
who maybe just tuning in now. I say I'm sure they're looking forward to the show and talking more. So we talked a bit about how that team was really well stacked, and it had lots of very good players, different positions, different qualities. But then the next season, obviously, it was a totally new squad, and you got from a 6th seed to almost winning the title. Coming into that season, I don't remember, what were the aims of the season? Was it too much different to what the season finished off, or was it quite similar?
Well, any team that I play on, I want to win. Do you know what I mean? So I always set my goals on the highest position. So I want to win the league, no matter what team I'm playing on. And I know Matt is the same way. So having that and being able to start the season fresh, have a whole season with the team, it was good. But we brought in a lot more players that year. So we had a lot of more. We had obviously Herm and Joe. It was the first year that they came over. So they're top quality Americans. We've seen what Herm done when he was here, and Joe's footwork was incredible. It was some of the best footwork I've seen from a big man. So just seeing that in training, I knew straight away we could do something. And then we had Leon, we had Nathan Shaw. We had some really good players that year. So definitely our sights were set on winning every game. That's the ultimate goal. Obviously, it doesn't go that way, most times, but that's the goal.
Definitely. And the question for this one is, we're moving on to rebounds and points. Who got the most defensive rebounds? Was it Tayo or was it Joe?
Teo. Let's go Teo. I'm probably 0 for 2 right now, though.
Oh, no, it was Joe. It was close. Joe got 134 for the season, Tayo got 116, but they're both really good threats, and I really enjoyed watching both those two players. I'm on the rest of the team that year, and I think you mentioned yourself with Joe's footwork. Me and my friend, she said Joe just like the tag roll, when he sort of got in the paint, you just spin-off players, get to the hoop and get the bucket.
Yeah.
So it was a really exciting
And he was
team.
he was so good using his body just to create space in the air, even if he's going up against, because he was only 6'5", and even if he's going up against someone 6'8" athletic, he's so good at going up in the air, creating that contact, and finishing on the way down. You know, it was hard to stop, and you know, he had some games. I think it was Loughborough in the semi-final. He just was not missing his mid-range, and I spoke to some of the guys on their team after, and you know, they were just like, you know, when Joe's in that mood, there's not much you can do to stop him unless you double team him. So yeah, he was huge.
Yeah, they say it was an amazing season. You obviously played Loughborough in the cup, and you also almost got them in the league. You mentioned that there was a lot of changes. I think it was yourself, Chris, and Louis, all sort of Kestrel family members who stayed on for that season, and you've probably spent quite a lot of time with them through the years. And I was wondering what some of your favourite memories on and off court with those guys. So being part of a family, you obviously have those memories built as you go through the
Yeah,
seasons.
yeah, that's it. I think the one that tops it is probably back in Div 2. Well, there's a few memories, obviously, but yeah, when we won the league and got promotion to Div 1, it was just huge. We were quite a young team. A lot of our guys were from Mitcham College, and then we had a couple of vets. Ryan Payne was, you know, played, you know, some minutes for us. He was, you know, great experience, great leader, especially in practice. And then it was me, Louis, Chris, a guy called Ollie Roberts, and Chris Evans. Were really the main senior guys that, you know, played. And yeah, just I remember the feeling we had when we won the league and got promotion was incredible. Just with such a young team and such a small team. Our biggest guy was 6'4". So yeah, it was good. And then obviously in Div 1, that first
Definitely, yeah, that
trophy, the
mentally
national
you want.
trophy.
Yeah, first I can.
Yeah, sorry. That first trophy that we won in Div 1 was, you know, incredible. We coming from so far. You know, we came from Div 4, especially Louis and Chris. They were there from Div 4. I came back when we were on Div 2. But yeah, they've been through such a journey. So yeah, it was just good to see that growth for the club.
And I say you mentioned the trophy, and me and my friend were talking about this the other day. At Northumberland time, that time they were really good. They obviously had players that would go on to play for Kestrels. They got March Doodles now Teesside. What were your memories playing against this team? So I think they whenever I saw you guys play them, I was always a little bit nervous, but they were really good games to watch as a spectator. What were your memories as a player?
Well, when I came back from Australia, I saw we lost to them in the cup final a few weeks before, and we had to go up away and we played them. And I think if they won that match, they would have won the league or something like that. And yeah, we went on a couple of runs there, but they were just a different quality. You know, they had Malcolm Smith and Simon Stewart, I think it was, just really solid bigs, and then their guard play was, you know, second to none in that league at that time. Just unselfish, really chippy. You know, the coach is chippy. He loves to get under your skin. You know, I saw Mark's interview the other day. You know, he takes pride in that as well. He's a really good coach. He's on the court, and you're like, ref, he's on the court. You know, it's just small things that they do just to take you out of the game. And then the next year, obviously that year, we played them in the first game of the season or second game. We went up there. Lewis Champion hit a game-winning shot against us, and we were so close to beating them. Then they came down and they absolutely wiped the floor of us at home. It was one of the most embarrassing. I think they beat us by like 20, but the way they done it was humiliating. And then we went to play them in the final, and you know, we had that chip on our shoulder because we haven't beaten them yet. Especially the way they beat us in the last game. You know, it wasn't fun at all. So we had that chip on our shoulder. We came in prepared, and then I think Herm hit like 4 threes in the first quarter, and I think we went up by 20 or something like that by half time, and we just were able to control the game from there. They made a little run in the third, and then we just weathered that storm, and then just saw the game out. So it was just a really good game for us to play, and everyone was hitting their shots. You know, it's rare for that to happen, especially in the final on that stage. So yeah, it's lucky that we were just shooting that well on that day.
Definitely, and I love what you say about chip on the shoulder and the mental aspect game. I'm not sure if you watched the last dance, but one thing for me was how Jordan used perceived negatives or negatives like a chip on his shoulder to motivate him to go. And I know, speaking to a few of you guys, a few seasons later, that National Cup loss to Loughborough had that sort of chip on the shoulder, unfinished business sort of thing. In terms of that Northumbria, where you say a chip on your shoulder, does that really sort of carry a lot of momentum for you guys? Does that really get you to that next level?
I wouldn't say it does too much, you know, like in terms of how we prepare for the game, but just mentally, I think individually it just motivates you that little bit more, knowing that, you know, how they beat us before. Everyone wants to beat them in the first place, but it just gives you a little bit extra motivation, you know, when you need it, you know, to allow you to come out firing. Obviously, you don't really need that adrenaline anyway in the cup final because the stakes are so high already. But yeah, it definitely helped. Everyone was just super locked in from the jump. You know, we stuck to the scouting report. Yeah, it was one of those games that everything just clicked for us. So yeah.
Definitely. I don't want to get any sort of secret special sauce recipe on the coaches Matt and Jack's coaching style or anything, because I'm sure you want to keep your cards close to your chest. But what is it specifically about those guys? Because from outside in, you just see how meticulously you prepare for it. But what's the biggest thing that you say, wow, that's the biggest impact they had on my game or on the opposition? What's the thing that you really take away?
Yeah, Matt's the best, one of the best coaches in the country, hands down. He just puts in so much time, you know, into studying, you know, what's best for us, how we play. Other teams, if you know, scout the other teams, you know, like there's no tomorrow. But it's a two-way street with him. You know, you can have a conversation with him. Say if you don't think something's working, you know, you're allowed, you can approach him. He's very approachable, and I think that, you know, it works. It makes it more of a team environment from the coach, you know, right down to the 12th man. So just creating that environment, having everyone chip in here and there, you know, little ideas, and then, you know, Jack and Adam. So, you know, Jack obviously coached the under-18s too, so he couldn't be there at, you know, some games, but just his insight, you know, he'd pick up things that Matt might not pick up. You know, it's hard for one person to pick up, you know, everything in a game. So he'll see something in a game that Matt might not have saw, and it's just small things here and there that are huge. And then Adam's, you know, stats were incredible. You know, he was at GB last summer, and because his stats are so good. So, you know, that's a huge help. Able to see little small details after each game. You know, shooting percentages, maybe, you know, where we get our best shots, players that we get our best players from. So yeah, it's just I just say the thing that I take most away from it is their team togetherness that, you know, they have.
Definitely, I think it's only coincidence that the actual name is Team, so that Kestrel's there's definitely emphasis on team. And going back to the three sort of Kestrel family members, you, Louis, and Chris, and one of we'll probably cover it later when we talk about the BBL Trophy. My favourite assists from this season was when you fed it sort of backwards to Chris for the corner three. And I imagine you guys playing with each other so much, you get that chemistry, you know each other's game. But what's one of the best assists you've either given to Louis or Chris that you're like, oh wow, that was amazing? What are the sort of best three assists you've given them?
That one was a good one. I almost lost the ball, but I knew he was in the corner, so I just sort of prayed that he went to him. Yeah, Chris is an incredible shooter. Like, I've been in games with him, and if he catches the fires, my eyes, I'm trying to find him. I'm trying to look for him, because I know no matter where he is on the floor, 5-6 steps behind the 3-point line, we don't care if he shoots it, because if he's in that zone, it's going in. Louis is just a tough player. You know, he's physical, gritty. He does all the dirty work that goes unnoticed. And he was huge for us. He'd get rebounds. He'll fight with people that are 6 inches taller than us. So yeah, he was. It's just part of that hard working mentality that I think Kesh was try and install in the players. But I couldn't really pinpoint one assist, to be honest. That is my favourite.
I can appreciate that. I say so many to pick from, and also so many moments you don't want to underwrite one or the other. So now we move on to 18-19 season, move on to the assists. And we've mentioned how you've done a lot of assists, but in a single game in that season, who got more assists? Was it you or Herm? Yeah, it was very close. You got 13 versus Loughborough, and he got 14 in a different game. And we touched upon Loughborough before. Sorry, so we touched on it before how Loughborough, like yourselves, have been up there. They've done really well. What do you think makes them such a successful side like yourself? Because you've been some really good battles between the two teams over the years.
Yeah, we've been playing Loughborough for years. They were in the same. They got promoted at the same time we did. The last game of the season in that Div 2 year was actually against them, and whoever won that game would have won the league. So we've always had that sort of rivalry with them. But they're just they train literally every day or most days in the week. So they've got that team chemistry. They play up bucks together. So that training 4 or 5 times a week is a huge difference, because most teams at this level train twice a week. But having so many guys train together for so many days in the week helps, and they just know what they're doing. They're chirpy, similar to how Northumbria played. When they're making shots, it's one of the most annoying teams to play against. They're all talking, the bench is talking. They can all shoot. They just always make the right pass, the extra pass. They've got good rotations on defense. They're just a really well drilled team. And if you don't come to the game with the right attitude, they'll run you off the floor before the game's even begun. So yeah, I enjoy playing them.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. I think a lot of us are sort of a bit nervous that penultimate game. It was a very close game.
Yeah.
I was wondering, sort of, had any players, but when you've grown up, inspire you or inspire you currently, and a players you think, oh, I want to play like them, or they've really inspired my journey?
I wouldn't say. Well, I've just had players that have just inspired how I, maybe train or how I play in certain ways. One guy is Jack Preston. He doesn't play anymore, but I remember growing up. He's 2 years older than me, and his younger brother was on the same team as me. And in the summer, I'd go up, and I was really good friends with him. I'd go up and stay around the house and stuff. And then I ended up just working out with Jack. Jack would take me for some workouts, just hill runs, any little workout, and seeing him and how hard he works, just on small details, really, made me realise how important it is just to focus on every aspect of basketball, not just putting the ball in the hoop or ball hand. You've got to take care of your physical body. Just every single part is as important as other parts. So yeah, I definitely got a lot of respect for him. Seeing guys like Will Neighbour at the club, 6'10", being able to shoot the ball, that was an inspiration growing up. My cousin at the time as well, people probably don't even know about him, but played on the same team as me, and he was just a killer. He scored on the year that we won the national championship. He scored 50 points on a number of occasions. Just tenacious. Just made me realise, all right, no matter who you're playing against, you've got to go as hard as you can. So yeah, multiple players over the years.
Definitely. And then on the other side, like in terms of players maybe still around in the NBL or BBL today, who sort of been the toughest players to come across, including this season, maybe the last few for yourself personally, and maybe as a team as well?
Toughest players. I think when Zaire first came to the league, he was one of the first matchups in this league that you're thinking, how is he making that shot? You have to pick him up at the halfway line. He's dribbling over, he's just pulling up from wherever, and he's hitting those shots. So that was the first player I was like, wow, okay, you've got to lock into him for 40 minutes. You can't sleep. He'll make some tough shots on you. You know, he's got the 360 layup that I'm pretty sure he's hit on every single team in the league. So everyone knows about that. A player from this year, TJ Henderson was tough. He could do a bit of everything. He was quick, could shoot the pull up, step back, could finish. He was one of the toughest matchups this year, I think, on an individual level. So yeah, I'd give him a hat off to him.
Yeah, for sure. Two very high quality players in the league currently, and also maybe not sure about next season in terms of TJ. We have to wait and see what happens. I thought that we covered this season. Obviously, I'm sure it goes without saying, I've just had a few texts from Solar fans. Just make sure we thank you. I say you guys did really well this season. I'm sure all the Tesha's family really enjoyed watching you. I know maybe the BBL Final didn't go the way you wanted, but I thought maybe we'd start with the BBL Trophy. So you had that first round with London. Obviously, going into that game, what were your thoughts? What were the expectations? I know you guys trained over the Christmas to be ready for it. Then, how was the game for you guys?
It was just the way Matt scouts is. It didn't really change how we prepared. It was just, we prepared the same way that we would have for a regular game. Obviously, knowing it, the stakes are higher, the competition is going to be, bigger and stronger. So we had to change a few things, but we prepared to play against Ovi. Obviously, he wasn't there. We just had to prepare for a tough physical battle and just to take every possession as it comes. And then we believed in ourselves. We knew if we did what we were capable of on both ends of the floor, we would be there where we needed to be at the end of the game. And I think that was the first game. They might have underestimated us. It's probably just a shock.
And definitely, and it was one of those days that wasn't streamed for whatever reason. I was wondering, maybe reflected back to it, whatever, like three moments you really enjoyed. Maybe people who weren't there, three things you felt went really well, but sort of changed the tide a bit, or went really well, so a certain play, or
3 moments from that game. I think there was one moment, I think it was in the first quarter or second quarter. Brendan did a nice behind the back pass, which, just anytime you see like a little highlight play, it just motivates the whole team, the whole bench sort of thing. One of my favourite moments from the game was, we were up by 20 in the fourth with like a minute left. So Matt puts the Itching kids on. And they just came on, they were hustling. Guys diving on the floor and the whole bench just, supporting them. We were, obviously a little bit hyped up because we knew we won the game at this point. But just seeing that, that team atmosphere, the young guys coming up, putting in that shift, it was great to watch.
Definitely. Maybe a more general point, and I think it's quite topical at the moment in terms of young players getting minutes or perhaps on the bench. I was wondering what your opinion is. What do you think is best for players to develop? Is it to be playing at the highest level possible, or maybe not going to come on, as I say, until the late parts of London, but just be on the bench? What do you think they can learn? Because I think there's a lot they can learn from just being a part of that game day experience, the team talks. What's your thoughts on that?
I think just whatever opportunity a kid can get to play as much as he can. So if you've got an under 18 kid, he might have 2 under 18 training sessions a week. He might be tired, but it will do him so much, more justice in the long run if he comes to the men's training as well. it'll be draining, but he will improve at such a higher rate. Just playing at that physical level. Coming to the games like last season, for example, Jeremy at the start of the year, we knew how good he was in training. Obviously, we saw him and he'd come along to games, get a couple of minutes here and there, and then by the end of the season in the playoff final, he's coming on, knocking down threes, getting and ones, blocking. Their best point guard, making huge plays in the final of the Div 1, playoff trophy. So I just think it takes a lot of dedication, persistence, not getting down if you're not, playing 20, 30 minutes on a men's team, just realising what you can learn from these situations. Because at a senior level, the game is much different, and it will prepare you if you want to go to the States or whatever you want to do next. Just being at that physical level, will give you a nice little advantage.
Definitely, I think that's some really good advice there. For like the Test fans, maybe for players to watch out for next season in terms of players coming through, are there a few that come to mind that you feel might be there or thereabouts in terms of maybe on the bench, maybe get a few minutes turned on? I know a few of you guys did get on the pitch at the end on the court, at the end of the last season.
Yeah, well, there's the under 16s from this last season. I've seen them grow from when they were under 13s, and just their work ethic they've had from there. You knew they were going to be able to, become something. So, I'm not sure if they'll be able to play with us next year, but I definitely think they should come to training, and that's Zach, Rory, and George maybe just coming to training, being physical. It just do them so much good in the long run. Maybe not this year, but next year, definitely, and obviously Steve as well. I don't know what he's doing next year. But he played for us a couple of games this year, so having him come to training more regularly, trying to get some court time, we're doing him a lot of good. That's if he's still around.
Yeah, of course, definitely. I think that's a really good point you made about, because I think there was like 3 or 4 teams so contextual some messaging we know about George Beard.
Yeah, that's my cousin George Beard that I was on about earlier.
Of course, yeah. So I think maybe to point, I think it was like 3 or 4 for guys which came up, and it must be really good experience for them to be part of that game day environment. And obviously, you guys got the win, and then at that second round game with Worthing, and obviously at a local derby element, the sellout crowd. You made me for that game because it was a pretty good game, very entertaining, really good effort for the NBL, I think.
Yeah, we played them twice already in the league. First game of the season was fairly close, and then we played them, I think, a couple of weeks before the quarterfinal at home, and we blew them out. But we knew they probably already ripped the game off. And they're just focused on that quarterfinal, so we knew not to get our hopes up. We're going to get their best shot, and we did. It was a great game, competitive. It went right down to the end. We were just lucky that we were able to hit our shots and stick to our game plan, trust how we want to play right to the end, and it saw us through that game. But yeah, it was a great game. It was a great advert for the NBL. It's 2 teams in the quarterfinal of the BBL Trophy. The crowd were amazing. We had a lot of fans come up just along the coast. So yeah, it was a great atmosphere.
Definitely, I'm sure it'll be a game many Texas fans will remember for a long time. I feel like we need to mention a few of the Worthing players. Obviously, we mentioned Syer being very talented, and obviously Cameron Hildreth. And obviously he had an amazing season, probably one of the best young players in the league. What is about his game that you really like, and how far do you think he could go in this world?
He's a special player. He just works. He just works and works. He's tenacious. He's got that scorer mentality. If you don't guard him, he's gonna score. He's got that mindset to just get a bucket. So yeah, you have to pick him up, even though he's young. A lot of teams probably just looked at him as a kid, but he's proved really early on that he can play with the men. So I just love how hard he works. he's able to chase down rebounds. Even if he misses a shot, he's there putting it back up. So yeah, I love that about his game. He's just got to keep that mindset of just working hard. It's going to be different every team he goes on. Obviously, he was able to see a lot of the ball this year. You just got to be ready to see whatever roles are thrown at him. But yeah, I definitely think he can go a long way if he keeps the right mindset, keeps the right attitude. So yeah,
And definitely, obviously, like you say, you guys got it in the bag and set up that semi-final Bristol. I think that was probably one of the best atmospheres I've seen at the Solent, and it was a probably game-wise probably the best performance you saw. People saw watching you guys. What were some of your memories from that game? Because it didn't start well. Just Luke obviously went off injured in the warm-up. How did that change the preparations towards you just all were locked in?
wow, it was crazy. I remember just seeing him. He went up for a layup or a dunk, and he came down. He hobbled off to the bench, and you just knew straight away. Just looking at his face, it wasn't good. He's had some issues in the past with his foot as well, and the season was going so well for him. He was playing amazing for us, just showing people what he could do because he hasn't played basketball for a couple of years. Sort of came out of nowhere, and he just showing the kind of player that he is. And then for that to happen in the semi-final, it was such a big blow for us. But I think just seeing that, we knew we had to come out even harder. That's a guy that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes just wiped. So people had to step up, and obviously we saw what Chris did in the second half. So yeah, everything just clicked. Obviously that was the highlight of the game, just seeing Chris, wide open after every. I think he hit 3 in a row or something, and I'm caught the ball and he's still wide open right next to me. I'm just like, all right, cool, keep shooting. So yeah, that was enjoyable. The crowd were amazing. The atmosphere was great. We really felt the whole NBL supporting us that night. People messaging us from other teams, maybe saying good luck and stuff before the game. It was huge. It's rare to see NBL teams supporting us, but I think that little run we've done really brought the league together. So yeah, it was good.
Definitely, I can definitely see how you felt the NBL's behind you. I think that unity is really good, especially what's going on with racism. I think we all need to unite against this cause and speak out because, as I say, it's unjust what's happening. And obviously, it's a difficult time for a lot of people affected. And I just wanted to say, like, for anyone who's going through a situation, just talk to people and just say we're all one race, and by being unified with this issue, trying to eradicate it, we'll get better. And I think we've seen how basketball to be a powerful, positive change in terms of, like what you're saying, that Bristol game feel like you had the whole NBL behind you and kind of bit off basketball. But do you feel like basketball has that power to change? Because I think it definitely has. It has a way of uniting people, I think.
Yeah, I think sport in general has that power. It's outrageous what's going on in the world, especially in America. But I think basketball or sport in general, it brings people together of all cultures, all races, which is good. It's a shame. Some groups that won't ever see that way. Maybe one day we're able to have that unity with the world and stuff. But all we can do right now is push for that equality. So yeah, that's all. That's all we can do really.
Definitely, I think my worry is it'll lose the media side. Because for my part, I'll keep pushing it because I feel as a platform we have that role. And I think you have that power to make some sort of change at some level. Um, and you said about the unity, sort of, you felt like the NBL family is behind you, and you mentioned that Chris was shooting 3 in a row. Ian was the same. We all guys having a perfect performance. And we touched upon the whole preparation being key, but was there ever any aspects that you were aware of during the game that you thought, oh, that was really performance, or that plan was going really well?
Well, I think in every game, you've got a game plan. and that you want, every game you wish could go exactly how the game plan goes. But every single team makes adjustments, so you just sort of learn as the game goes on. So we saw that we were shooting well. We got their bigs in foul trouble quite early on, so we were able to go inside out. We were hitting tough shots. Ian was hitting some tough shots. Trey came on, hit some tough shots. So we just tried to ride that momentum, and then we built a big lead up. And then that third quarter, when we saw Chris starting hitting a couple threes, we're like, okay, let's try and keep him on, keep finding that hot hand. Matt drew up a couple plays for him. And we just, we play it by ear every game, like most teams. If someone's hot, you got to feed the hot hand, and take what the defense gives you.
Definitely. You mentioned about Trey coming on, and early in lockdown, I heard Brendan on, I think it was 2 Brits, 1 Orange Ball, and it was quite just what you were saying, but when Trey joined you guys first time in training, he was like saying, I'm a bit rusty, and had an amazing performance. What was your memories from that first training session with him? So I imagine he sort of brought another level to you guys.
Yeah, well, I remember playing him last year, and he's an elite level player. He's a vet. He's experienced. He's been, BBL MVP. He's been there and done it. So he's come into training. He's like, yeah, I'm a little bit rusty, and then first couple of plays, he just flies through the key, and we just knew straight. He's got that elite level athleticism, and he can shoot the pull up. Just very experienced. And for someone to come into a team, especially how we were playing throughout the year, we're being unselfish throughout the whole season. Team mentality. He came in and he fit right in. Took the shots that were given to him. He wasn't. He was there to win as well. He had that winning mentality. So yeah, it was a great addition to the team. Great to have that experience added on as well.
Definitely, for sure. And he brought a lot to the game, and we'll touch that in the final. But then there's obviously the second leg to deal with first. He had that massive lead for the first leg. For me, I was sort of thinking, like, I don't think anyone thought you guys were complacent, but it's obviously was it hard to prepare, knowing that half the job was done, or did you try to do your best to not think about the straw line? Because it makes a difficult situation being that far ahead, I imagine.
Yeah. It was a weird situation to be in. We've never played a game across 2 legs before, so our focus, the score is 0-0. We're trying to win this game like every other game. The game got away from us in the fourth quarter, right at the end. But up until that, we were in the game, and I think it's hard. We already knew that we won the game, sort of thing. So it's hard from that standpoint, probably just to finish out the last couple of minutes, which is where they really got that lead. So yeah, it was a weird situation to be in. We came and we tried to win. They were obviously upset as to how we embarrassed them that night. So they came in extra physical, just trying to beat us up really, and we just did what we could. It just wasn't meant to be. We were obviously annoyed that we lost that streak. People say it doesn't count as a loss or whatever, but we lost, so that's I count a loss as a loss. So yeah, it was quite annoying.
Of course, yeah, because you're that amazing run that sort of spanned the February of the previous season. It was like a massive game, and I know I mentioned before that the Reading Rockets side of 809 was that single season and being dispelled. But even so, I think what you say, a loss is a loss, and I don't think you should get yourself beat up too much about it, because it's just one game, and say your achievements.
Yeah.
You don't want to sort of you don't want to be like you only finished your last game. You sort of feel like actually the journey got on is more important.
That's
I think.
It. After the game, we finished. We're in the locker room and everyone's down, and we're like, it's such a weird atmosphere because we've just lost. Just got by 20, I think, in the end, and we're just quiet in the change room, and then I think Matt or Jack comes in and they're like, look, we lost, but we're in the final. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
obviously it's hard to get over that immediate. Yeah, it's hard to get over that immediate, defeat, but the bigger picture was we done what we had to do in the first leg. So yeah, we lost that game, but we'll take it. We got to the final. We made history.
Definitely, and it feels so long ago, that final. Say that was sort of the last game of the season as we knew it, and it's a very unique proposition though that you're doing a game that no one else is doing. I guess it was. Oh,
I think his laptop just died.
apologies there, guys. We back on.
All right.
Sorry, I say part of this
Laptop
lockdown.
died.
I've moved back. I've moved back to my family home. So my girlfriend's got to go back to work, and I'm down in Devon and not fully set up. Apologies, so we're back. So we were just talking about that game, and obviously there's a lot of off-court distraction of real life effects. How was it as a squad, sort of just before that game? I think a few people were like, "Was it going to be on?" Well, it's not that. It's obviously really hard to have to deal with both teams.
Yeah, it was a weird week. We're training for the game to go ahead, obviously, and then each day goes along, and we're seeing leagues get cancelled, um, all over the world, sort of thing, postponed. So in the back of our minds, we're like, are we going to play or are we not? And it wasn't until Friday, I think, that we got the official confirmation that it was, we're going ahead with it. So yeah, it was a weird week of preparation. We prepared as well as we could, but yeah, it was just one of those weird situations where we don't know if the game's going ahead, especially because we had to catch a flight up there too, which was a weird experience. We got a whole team about a talk about the safety guidelines, the 2 meters social distancing. So yeah, it was just one of those very strange experiences because it was right at the beginning of this whole outbreak.
And I think Cash's message says Steve will be around. I'm sure fans will be glad to know you definitely had that impact coming on the bench, shooting a few threes and playing his part. We sort of touched upon that before. But I say it was going to be the last game of the BBL. It was definitely one to sign off from and definitely put you guys on the map. Obviously, it was like a big arena. And how was that sort of preparing? So going into that game, because obviously it's a different arena, having to sort of find your groove. How was it? I should quite a good experience.
It was we were able to shoot in the arena the day before, just to get used to it. I didn't actually train the day before because I rolled my ankle on Friday, so I had to sit out of that training session. But yeah, just getting used to the bigger arena. Obviously, there's the biggest one we've played in this year by far. But yeah, once you're in the game, you don't really notice it too much. You're just focused on the 10 guys on the court and the game plan at hand.
And definitely, I say, even both Newcastle were undermanned. They had a good squad. You guys had a squad. In terms of like the matchups, which ones were the sort of the toughest? Which players sort of posed the difficult questions for you guys?
They had CJ Gettys, who, 7 foot. He's been out a while, but he just come back for the final. It's just off an injury, but having that size and that power was huge for them. Getting that rebounds. And Fletcher was just a tough cover. He came out, he hit that first three, and yeah, from that moment, he knew he was feeling himself a little bit. It was going to be a tough matchup for the rest of the night.
Definitely, it was a really good match, really close, and obviously went to overtime. What were some of your favourite memories from that game that you remember? Shots that went off really well, or there was like a big event in the third? What sort of things do you remember from it that you recall quite happily about?
Yeah, it was, in the third quarter, I think we went down 14, and Matt called a timeout. We've just come out of timeout, and we're all thinking the same thing. But Ian just rallied us, and he just said, "Look, we ain't come this far just to give up right now." And then we just went on a run, got right back in the game. They called a timeout, tried to slow the run down. Came out of the timeout, we carried on the run. We ended up getting a little lead. So yeah, that was a good moment, and obviously Trayvon getting that dunk to send it into overtime was huge. It's probably an and one, but let's not talk about that. Yeah, Ian just went coast to coast and dished it off to him, and yeah, it was huge.
I was wondering when you mentioned the officials, and obviously they got a difficult
Nah,
job to do, but there's always so many
they did a really
questionable
good job.
calls.
You're always going to miss some
Yeah,
calls, no matter where you're playing, what level you're officiating at. There's always going to be calls that are missed. So, but overall, they did a great job in that game. So I can't question them.
and also you mentioned about the Trayvon, the last minute buzzer beater to force overtime. What was going through you guys' heads? You drew up play. Was he like the first option, second option? What were the thoughts going into it? It was all or
I think
nothing.
there
Then it
was
was so
there was there was 4 seconds left, 5 seconds left, I think, and
yeah.
we're down by 2, so we've just got to push it and take whatever look we can get. So everyone else has taken off, and then he's explosive. He's so quick, so he was able to get down the court in a couple of seconds, draw the defense in, and he found a great pass. So yeah, it wasn't drawing up or anything. It was just take what you can get, and take the best shot possible.
Definitely, and I'm sure all the Cash fans would say that you guys did the team proud, and it was a very good season. And I'm wondering whether you feel maybe next season whether the team will be back in the BBL Trophy, or what do you want to see the team do next season?
Well, when the season finally goes ahead, obviously we're playing it by ear until then. I assume that we'll be entered back in the BBL Trophy, and we're just gonna do the same thing we've done this season. Take every game as it comes. Each game, don't look ahead of it, which is what we've done this year. Whatever game we've got next is the one we're focusing on. So that got us to where we got to this year, and we're hungry for more. We weren't able to finish the season. We had playoffs coming up. So yeah, we'll see. Depends on who comes back. There's a lot of things up in the air right now, especially with what's going on. So we're just playing it by ear.
Of course, I'd appreciate that, but I imagine one thing you've had time to reflect on the season, and I'm wondering if there's anything you've thought back at all. I'd like to add this to my game next season, or want to do this a bit differently. Is there anything that you've sort of had time to think about?
Yeah. So this year I wasn't really in shape too well. My ankles were a bit shaky. I didn't feel too confident in my body, so I'm just using this time to try and really get my body in a good shape, just so I can be more explosive, be more aggressive on the offensive end. Obviously, every season you want to shoot a better percentage, and then just guarding better on the defensive end. I take pride in my defense, and I just want to take that to the next level, and that starts with getting my body to a position where I can do that.
Definitely. How's the ankle at the moment? I imagine the rest has been helping it. Do you feel more comfortable in it, or is it just a matter of time and patience for it?
Yeah, it's all right now. It's just one of those old niggling injuries that will never truly go away, but you can always prepare for so the more preparation that I do, the better it will be. So I'm just trying to do some exercise on it, strengthen it in some training, and yeah.
And definitely, I say we covered the BBL Trophy and the achievements there, but obviously you guys were fortunate enough to win the season outright in terms of regular season. Looking back at the regular season, what some of the highlights, some really good games, I imagine, and some good memories for you? Reflect about it now.
Yeah, the Hemel game at home, we've been beating teams by at least 10 points for the whole season in the cup, everything. And then Hemel were the first team that came to our, they came to our house too. Just made us fight for that game. So it was good to have that close game because you get a different feel when you win close games. So we won by 5 in the end, I think, but they pushed us right to the end. There was a game against Worthing at the beginning of the season. Luke just had his baby, so he wasn't there. I rolled my ankle again, surprise. So I wasn't sure if I was going to play, but it was one of those games at the beginning of the season. No one's really established themselves as the top of the table yet. So and we knew Worthing were a dangerous team, so it was a huge game for us. And we just left everything on the table. Managed to pull out the victory. And then one game actually is our pre-season game against Cal Poly. I remember Matt. We had train. I think Travis just flew in that morning, and we had practice in the morning. And we have a shoot around usually before every game, but we had a full-on practice. So I'm talking an hour of just up and down playing, and we came to that game and we were already tired. And then we went to overtime, and by the end of that, everyone's legs were just finished. But I think that really set the standard for how we wanted to play this year. Just having that tough pre-season, sort of getting that rust out early, just fighting through that pain, through when you're tired, really set the standard of how we wanted to play this year.
Definitely, and there's a few things to touch upon. I thought started the preparation, so I've been watching the ladies' games for you guys, and I see you guys come in and you've got a big media room. What sort of preparation work do you do in the game? Because I think you guys do quite a lot, maybe compared to maybe some others. But
yeah, well, like I said earlier, Matt is a maniac when it comes to scouting. So he just knows everything that you could want to know coming into a game, and he tries to push that information onto us as much as he can. So we just try and sponge it in as much as possible with everything that he tells us. He gives us a good scout report, our game plan of how we want to play, focuses maybe how we want to attack and stuff like that, how we're going to play defense, and it's just finalizing points that we've gone over in a week. So yeah, that's just the final preparation that we do.
and sort of in terms of stats, you mentioned the Hemel game, and they obviously dynamic guys, probably two of the best American duo in the league with Greg and Mike. What other American duos are you impressed by? Because obviously Reading had AJ and Nick before AJ went injured. You got yourselves and other
Yeah.
teams. Did they sort of stand out a bit more?
Yeah, Mike and Greg are a tough matchup. Mike's just aggressive. He's just playing 40 minutes. He's on go the whole time. He can pull up from anywhere, get to the hoop. Greg's a beast. And Travis knew them before as well. So, having that prior, friendship and whatnot definitely made it more of a competitive environment. Some other duos, obviously Zaire and Alex, experienced duos down in Worthing. You're always going to get a good game down there. Martel and Taylor from Thames Valley, just scoring machines. Their whole team was designating on they wanted to outscore you. And then before AJ broke his hand, that was a tough one up there. It was you hate seeing fellow competitors get injuries like that. Especially just you want to compete against them as well. So, just hoped he had a speedy recovery, but they were one of the toughest duos in the league. You know, he's 6'5", strong, but sort of do pretty much everything. And then Nick's aggressive as well. So yeah.
Definitely, and I spoke to AJ a few weeks ago, and he's back to full fitness. So, be interested to see where he gets to next. Obviously, you guys have to deal with the injuries. You mentioned about your ankle, and then Luke and Elliot, but you all seem to like rally around each other. What I guess that's sort of buying into Matt's philosophy. Um, in terms of like the defense, you're saying you want to improve on. I've been really sort of looking more at away from stats, stuff that aren't really you see on the box score. But what things do you think are really important, but maybe not on the box score, but you think are just equally as important in terms of defense?
In terms of defense,
Yeah, yeah.
it's it's such a you can't really mark good defense on the stat sheet. So just being able to stop the top guy on the other team from getting to their spots. There's some guys in the league that are awesome defenders. Jermaine Lang from Bradford. I saw Andreas talk about him the other day, and guys like that you might not see fill up the stat sheet, but they're making the other team's best player, take uncomfortable shots they don't really want to take, or even not shoot the ball at all. And that's huge. It's huge in the game of basketball because it's all about X's and O's, and you want to shoot the shots that you've practiced for. And when you've got a guy on the other team that is not letting that happen, it kind of messes up your game plan.
Definitely, and I really appreciate it on, and it's a shame we didn't get the playoffs. So I thought, obviously, you guys scout the league very thoroughly and probably know a lot about the players' weakness. You mentioned about some players you had insights on. In terms of the playoffs, you saw like Derby and Bradford get a bit of momentum. Who do you think theoretically could have been a problem in that playoffs? Because I think definitely at the top of the NBL, there's quite a lot of depth and strength.
Every team's has got a different style. I think Thames Valley on their day, if they're hitting their shots, it's going to be tough to beat them. Derby are a good team as well. They've got a really good big man, Malcolm. One of the best big men in the league. I'd say Thames Valley and them probably the toughest matchups.
Definitely. I say I really appreciate you coming on to talk about basketball. It's been great hearing your insights, and I say obviously well done on the season. You guys won the title, and obviously got as far as you did in the in the BBL Trophy. And I thought maybe to finish on maybe some advice you'd have for people watching, maybe struggling in terms of this lockdown or other things going on, or maybe advice maybe people trying to get back to that peak fitness for next season as well.
With the lockdown, I think it's such a strange situation. I think if you're able to come out of lockdown and you're still sane, I think that's an accomplishment. I think I've seen a lot of people put a lot of pressure on people saying, "Oh, if you don't come out of lockdown with a new skill, and what have you been doing?" And it's such a difficult thing just to sit at home all day. Everyone works differently, so I think if you can come out of lockdown and you're still sane, don't feel the pressure to force yourself to do anything. Obviously, if you can and you're comfortable and you can get in the right situation, you can work out, do that, get as many as you can in. But don't feel that pressure to do it. I don't think.
Of course, I see a lot of those posts saying if you don't come out, like you say, it's silly how you don't come out of lockdown a better person for what you're doing. I think there's that balance. I think is having that perspective. Like some days you will be able to do stuff, other days you're not. It's not like you can go somewhere if you're locked down. You sort of got to keep going.
I just think it's a great opportunity, obviously, for people to learn a new skill, work as it's a great opportunity at this time that we've got. But not everyone is the same, and not everyone can work like this. Do you know what I mean? So don't feel that pressure if you're not one of those people that can thrive in this sort of environment. It's just try and focus on what's best for you individually, and do your bit.
Definitely, and so thank you for coming on. I hope you stay well, stay safe, and all the best for next season. Is there a little message you may want to say to Tesha's family before we go?
Hope you guys are staying safe and staying well. Thank you for all the support over the years. You know, making the trips to the faraway games. Glasgow, we had a huge supporting. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys next year.
Okay, thanks for tuning in, everyone. That's it
Cheers.
for this evening. Stay safe and take care. Goodbye from me, Elliot. Bye now.
Cheers. Bye.